A very good morning, everyone. Welcome to StudyIQ English. Welcome to the Hindu news analysis for 8th December 2025. That's today. I am Saumya and I extend a huge welcome to each one of my dear students on the platform. So, very good morning, Terukula. Very good morning, Rebina. Very good morning, Saumya. Very good morning, aspirant Neelam and Gelu. So, as other aspirants keep joining us, let me quickly remind you that the agenda of today's class will also be to look at UPSC relevant articles from the Hindu newspaper, like we do every day. But then we do not have the agenda of a very monologue kind of session. I do not believe in a session that's one sided where I just explain the news articles and my aspirants, my students will try to catch important points from that. No, we all know that this is a very interactive forum and the idea is to discuss these news articles, to take as many perspectives, opinions, and viewpoints, to ask questions, to support each other. To support each other in understanding these current events as well as doing a kind of special cross linking of events so that by the time exam is coming we remember everything that happened in the last 1 year. We do not forget anything. That's also an idea behind these interactions. So very good morning there. Aspirant is here with us, so is Katyayani, Sitaram, Anoop. Very good morning, each one of you. I'm expecting other students to join soon, but then let me quickly show you which are the articles for today's discussion. On your screen, we have about 7 articles that we shall be analyzing today. Okay. Now, out of these 7 articles, first 3 articles are editorial articles. For our new aspirants, for our new students, we always start from the editorial articles, not only because they are more important but because they are usually lengthy and more complicated. So beginning from the editorial articles we then move towards other important news headlines for the day. And today editorial page is page number 8, so I have also taken 3 important articles from there. After that, the remaining 4 articles are the broad headlines, including one very special one about organ transplantation and organ donation in India. It's not a very common theme, but then a very important question for both GS paper 3 as well as ethics in medical science. So we'll do that. And then we will look at few developments around the world. One is about Sudan. The war is becoming worse in Sudan. And similarly, the other is about China and Japan. Recently, we have seen so many cases where China and Japan had a major issue between each other. One, of course, is the Senkaku Island, like every day. It's a raging topic. And then another was the Yonaguni Island. So today also a small conflict has taken place between the two. Let's analyze what conflict is that. But let's begin with the editorial. That's page number 8, the front page editorial article. So very good morning here, Anoop. Good morning, Ramu is here with us. Good morning, Sumit. Good morning, Sahu. Very good morning, everyone. Yes, absolutely. We will initiate a Telegram channel as well, Katyayani, and then we can have a more frequent discussion. Very good morning. Vikash is here, Sumit is here. Welcome, my dear. So let's start with the first article for the day, page number 8, editorial. Surveillance apps in welfare snake oil for accountability. We are looking at welfare schemes in India. How have the new tools of digitization, the new tools of information communication technology, computerization, how have they changed the nature of welfare schemes? Have we made the welfare more transparent? Or are there various problems associated with digitization of welfare schemes? Now that we are looking at welfare schemes, this is General Studies Paper 2, UPSC Mains. In GS Paper 2, you study social justice. And under social justice, under the UPSC syllabus, we not only study various welfare schemes of the government, but we also study implementation and success of these schemes. That's why it is GS paper 2. Look at what the article is trying to say. The article says that nowadays we are using a new tool, and the new tool is known as the tool of digital surveillance. What are we looking at? Digital surveillance. This digital surveillance is now being used to monitor, to track, and to implement various welfare schemes. And how do we use digital surveillance? We often do biometric based attendance. biometric attendance. That's what we do. Suppose a very good example can be Manrega scheme. Manrega scheme. You want to implement Manrega? Now, every day, the contractors will sit and they will actually do an enumeration of how many laborers got the job on a particular day. It's very difficult to do a manual attendance. That leads to a lot of error. That's why now we believe in digital surveillance, biometric attendance. We use mobile applications and we use computers. We use biometric sensors so that people who are participating can put their thumbprint, or they can just quickly do some kind of a biometric attendance by scanning their face or by scanning their fingertips. Okay, so that's called biometric attendance. Then we have another thing that is called photo upload. Under Manrega and other welfare schemes, there is another provision to match, to see whether people are regularly coming for a job or not. We also use photo uploads. These are not passive photo uploads. These are called live real-time photo uploads. What are they called? Live real-time photo uploads. To check whether people are coming for these schemes, we do some live capturing of the photo. There has to be a data that should be absolutely live, that today this person has come for work. So every day's photo, fresh photo upload. Then another technology, facial recognition. Yes, we need to recognize the faces of those people. Through that also they can put their attendance. And then we have another tool called geotagging. What do we have? Geotagging. Now look at all these four tools. What are they? What are these tools all about? Geotagging, facial recognition, photo upload, live real-time photo, active photo, biometric attendance. All these are components of the larger digital surveillance. Rather than doing a manual checking, it's better to go for a digital surveillance. What is the aim behind these? What's the objective of all this? The objective is to make sure we can monitor government employees and welfare beneficiaries. Whether government employees are doing their work properly in giving welfare schemes among the poor people, and whether the poor people are coming and participating in these. What is the larger aim of these digital surveillance tools? The biggest aim is to solve the problem of absenteeism. To solve the problem of absenteeism. Government employees should be there to monitor the scheme, to implement the scheme. People should be there to take advantage of the scheme. Another is to tackle corruption, to check whether actually the scheme has been given to people or not. Corruption management. Last, leakage in the welfare scheme. Recently, I have spoken to you about the PDS leakage. In India, we have the largest public distribution system where we provide wheat, rice, sugar, pulses to people through fair distribution shops, fair ration shops, at a very cheap price or free of cost completely. But there is a leakage in the system. Leakage means something is missing somewhere. I have also used the word called workplace dropout, workplace leakage. Women in India are studying science, technology, engineering, maths, but they are not visible in the workforce. Why? Somewhere in between there is a leakage. The leakage due to marriage, lack of safety, culture norms, early pregnancy. Similarly, here also we are looking at the leakage in welfare schemes. The government provides so many welfare schemes. Mukhyamantri Mahila Rozgar Yojana, Ujjwala Yojana, Janani Suraksha Yojana, Matritva Vandana Yojana, Manrega, Annapurti, absolutely. So many schemes are there. But does everything actually reach the targeted beneficiary? We don't know. There is a corruption and leakage in between. You can also take an example of PM Poshan scheme. Look at the midday meal scheme. In government schools, we are mandated to provide one free, nutritious meal to the poor children. But do these children actually get that food? No. There is a massive leakage in between. The ration is stolen. The ration is poor quality. There is always corruption by government employees, which includes teachers as well. So therefore, in order to tackle the leakage in welfare schemes, today we are going for digital surveillance. What is digital? Online, computerized. What is surveillance? To be able to monitor and track something effectively. What are the various tools? biometric attendance, live, active, real-time photo upload, facial recognition, geotagging. What's the aim? To tackle corruption, to check care of absenteeism, and to see what is causing the leakage in this welfare scheme. Now, what are the key issues with digitization? If it is such a good method, what are the problems? The biggest problem in India is ineffective outcome, right? It is a very good initiative, but the worst problem here is ineffective. I'm writing this down quickly. Ineffective outcome. Why do we have ineffective result or outcome? Because despite biometric attendance in government offices, absenteeism and poor work culture continue to persist. There is a randomized controlled trial that was done in Rajasthan. It showed that biometric attendance that was taken for government hospital nurses actually led to lower attendance in the long run rather than improving the attendance. Why? Why do you think that would have happened? Because when you focus too much on facial recognition, biometric attendance, your complete focus is now on following the rules. Your complete focus is on giving attendance, being present over there. Your focus is not on delivering your best. People think it is just a fake responsibility. By coming to office, I am doing some kind of a great favor to the government or to the people. I'm a government officer, government hospital nurse. Every day I come, show my face, put my biometric, my geotagging is done, and my purpose is solved. It doesn't matter whether actually my contribution is making a difference or not. So, by making rules too strict to follow, we do not create an inner motivation. And a test done in Rajasthan has proved that point, that it actually showed in the longer term poor work performance. Second is the misuse and manipulation of online digital surveillance. How in India are these tools manipulated? I'll give you a very good example here. Look at Manrika. Mahatma Gandhi, Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme. Yes. And if that's Manrega, what does Manrega do? Manrega promises you at least 100 days of assured employment 1 year. In 1 year, people from the poor background will get in the rural areas 100 days of guaranteed job, which means at least for 100 days they will earn some money. Yes, but what's the biggest reason for manipulating digital surveillance in Manrega? The biggest is that people, even the contractors and the government officers, are responsible for a phenomena that's being called in the article as inflated attendance. Let me explain this to you. In Manrega, we have seen the phenomena of inflated attendance. What is inflation? A sudden rise in something. And what do you mean by inflated attendance? It's a fake attendance. It shows everybody is participating. If I have identified 100 people in the village, the data shows all 100 have come to work. That's called a fake, increased, inflated attendance. When in reality, not even 40 people have come to work. Why does inflated attendance happen? It happens because people are actually uploading an old photograph. The contractors are taking bribes from people. Sometimes they are giving jobs to people whom they prefer by taking bribes from them. Sometimes caste element comes in the picture. People prefer giving jobs to their own caste members, their own community and religion members. Sometimes gender comes in the picture. Despite women being promised some work here, they are not given any work. Fake photos are uploaded. The rule says we have to upload live, real-time photo that's happening at the moment. But then people are uploading expired or old photos just to prove the point that yes, the worker was existing at the work site. It doesn't show. It doesn't show whether the worker is actually there today or not. Then what does it mean? It means despite the provision of national mobile monitoring system in Manrega now, it is monitored through a mobile app. Despite that, people are recording more workers than who actually worked. Only 10 people came, but we are recording 50 people. And that's a shock. And how does that happen? It happens because there is a fundamental flaw in the application itself. When I talk about the national mobile monitoring system app of Manrega, there is a flaw in this app. What is the flaw of the app? The flaw is that app only requires you to upload any JPEG file. Only thing that is checked is that whether a JPEG file has been uploaded or not. That's it. If any file is uploaded, it is believed that yes, the worker was present. Nobody is there to check whether the worker was actually there, whether the photograph is genuine, whether the photograph is expired, whether it belongs to somebody who doesn't exist in reality, unrelated photo, or taking a photo of an existing photo. Nobody knows that. Because of this flaw, there is inflated attendance. It's a kind of manipulation to show exaggerated attendance when in reality people have not come. Very good. Very good, Tarun Kojumba. Very good, Gelu. Absolutely aspirant. People are proving that workers have come to work, but they have not come. So, in the name of protocol, we are only trying to show fake attendance by uploading any nonsense which they believe to be true. And nobody is there to verify that. Now, that's a problem with the application itself, as aspirant tells us. The lowest result has come from, say, Nagaland and Arunachal. In fact, many other places. There was also a news recently which said hardly, in the name of 100 days, people are hardly given 60 days employment under Manrega. 100 days is a fake number. But we don't have a proof because, yes, there is a fraudulent uploading going on. Now, what is happening? Multiple such frauds are going on. When it comes to facial recognition and welfare exclusion, you look there also. There is a portion tracker. In India, when it comes to giving welfare schemes, we follow a portion tracker, nutrition tracking database, how many people are getting free ration or not. It is based on Aadhaar biometric authentication. Yes, in public distribution system, we follow two things: portion tracker, Aadhaar based biometric authentication system. That is meant to prevent leakage from happening. But rather than that, vulnerable groups such as disabled, elderly, and women are actually left behind because they don't have applications and smartphones. If they have also, they don't know how to use that. Data connectivity is very poor, network is not good. Some people don't know how to use these technologies at all. Plus the existing corruption and bribery system. So, despite having a PM Poshan tracker, despite having Aadhaar based biometric authentication, the vulnerable people like elderly, disabled, and women are deliberately left behind. What to do about them? That's a painful thing to do. Then what happens? There is a loophole in the law. Beneficiaries who have actually been authenticated through their biometrics still have not received any supply as promised to them. There is a very high burden on the shoulders of the ground level workers like ASHA workers, accredited social health care activists who go door to door and provide medical facilities and counseling. Then A&M, auxiliary nurse midwives who are responsible for delivering children in rural areas. They are employees, but they are not considered as employees. They are looked upon as welfare workers. Recently, the government decided to give Ayushman card benefit to ASHA workers, but still they are getting very poor salary. Very poor salary. They work in terrible conditions, rainfall, stormy conditions. They are traveling for kilometers altogether on bicycle. Sometimes they are not even given transport cost on time. And there is too much burden on them. The problem is that these people are not trained enough to do geotagging and to do some kind of authentic biometric upload whenever they provide some service. They do so much work, but most of it gets unrecorded. There are connectivities in rural areas. Apps do not work. There is a network failure, application failure, heavy traffic, that means complete database system failure. Accountability mechanisms are also very low. They may force people to work, but they do not create work ethics in people. That's the problem. And now, ultimately, it's about manufacturing ignorance. Manufacturing ignorance, that's been called in the article as agnotology. Agnotology. There is a defect in manufacturing itself. There is a proof that these applications are a failure. They are failing. Biometric is failing, facial recognition is failing. Despite that, government is continuing with digitization rather than seeing whether digitization is ethical or not. Sometimes vulgar pictures of migrant women get uploaded. And that's terrible. In the name of taking pictures from them, they are sometimes being sexually harassed and molested. What about that? So nobody is there to look into that. So, what are the problems right now? We are going towards digital surveillance and welfare application schemes, whether it's welfare, whether it's public distribution or Manrega, but in reality, service is slow. Corruption has led to a situation where fake photos, expired photos are uploaded rather than capturing live and real time photo that doesn't show exact attendance, it shows inflated attendance. There is a privacy concern. Many women were photographed as they were breastfeeding their young children. Imagine how humiliating that is for a woman. And we talk about social justice. How unethical is that before we look into social justice, for a woman at least? There is identity fraud. And therefore, all this also leads to worker demoralization. People think the only duty they have is to go and put the biometric. Whether they are learning a skill from this job, whether actually they are coming every day to work, who is there to monitor that? Well, nobody. So, article is saying technology is good provided technology is based on evidence of success and ethics. When a technology is only based on surveillance as a substitute of regular attendance, it really doesn't ensure any quality of work. It doesn't ensure transparency or grievance redressal. It doesn't even guarantee democratic citizens' participation. It is just like you are ignoring the fact that your digitization is poor and your policy is not evidence based at all. So that's what the article says. At the very fundamental basis, it is completely a manufacturing defect. The applications are bad, the approach is faulty, which is also known as agnotology, a defect on the part of manufacturing itself. Okay, so that's the pitch made by this article. Now, quickly, let's have a look at the question based on that. Let me also see the comments made by my lovely students. I couldn't read them. Very good morning there. Terukula Kujumba has joined us. Vikash had joined us. And Bulbul is here. Very good morning, my dear. Who else has joined? Kundan is here. Very good morning. Okay. Yes, Ramu, absolutely. Absolutely. That's what they are doing now. Facial recognition. Yes, correct. Good morning, Kundan. Yes, Golu, that's so true. Yes, absolutely. That is all about Eric. That's correct, Eric. Good morning, Tanya, my dear. Okay. Yes, Ramu, absolutely. It's about moral values and ethics. Let's have a look at the question. Terukula has already answered it. Consider the following statements regarding the use of digital technology for accountability in welfare programs. One, introduction of biometric attendance system has consistently reduced absenteeism among public sector employees in the long term. Two, the National Mobile Monitoring System under Manrega, application based, was intended to prevent inflated attendance records by requiring geotagging photos of the workers. And three, Aadhaar based biometric authentication system, the ABBA, when made mandatory in PDS, led to exclusion of some elderly and disabled beneficiaries. So, which of these systems are actually, which of these statements are correct? So, answering has been done by Terukula, then Polity, then Sumedh, Tanya, Sitaram, Anup, Ramu, Sumit. Who else is answering for us? Gilu is answering. Tarun is answering. What about Vikash? What about Kojumba? Kojumba answers there. Rebina answers there. And absolutely all your answers are correct. That's wonderful. B is the right answer. Very smartly understood. Why is B the right answer? Because we know that first statement here is invalid. We tried to introduce biometric when it came to public welfare schemes so that we can actually register everyone who is the beneficiary of the welfare. But in the long term, rather than creating a sense of moral duty, as Ramu says, which is very important, it has led to a sense of obligation that I just come, put my attendance, and go away. In the long term, we have seen more poor work performance. People are demotivated to work, and the quality of work they do is pathetic. So, one is not correct. Second and third are absolutely valid. That's right. Snake oil. It means you are just trying to create a situation like rather than fixing the real problem, the ineffective technology that's behind the working of this system. You are deliberately ignoring that. Like just like a snake oil. That something that you are doing on the surface of it. But in reality of it, you are actually denying the evidence behind that. It's a very fake thing. That is what it points out. Very good morning, Eba. That's the right answer, my dear. Well done. Okay, let's proceed with the next article, page number 8. This is also editorial for us. Okay, so let's proceed with the second article now. Again, editorial. What does it say? It says balance, not swing. Balance, not swing. And what are we looking into exactly in this article? We all know that the Russian president has recently visited India. And why is he visiting India? We all know it is happening due to the 23rd India Russia summit. That's why he came here. He came here, but that was also a big red flag to other countries like European Union and America. We know that India is right now in a very, very geopolitically sensitive situation. So therefore, this article that is looking into Indo-Russia, Indo-US, Russia-US relationship comes from GS paper 2 because I'm looking at international relations IR here. What does the article say? Quickly, let's focus. The article is saying India and Russia, as President Vladimir Putin has recently come to New Delhi, India and Russia are celebrating 25 years of their strategic partnership and long term friendship. I told you multiple times there was a point of time in Indian history that dates back to 1971, 1972, when most of the countries like US, Pakistan, China had become our practical enemies. India had just emerged out of many wars. China War 62, then Pakistan War, 1971 Pakistan Bangladesh War. India was experiencing something else, that's emergency period also. India was in a very sensitive situation that time, surrounded by enemies all over. It was then that Russia had signed a 20 years treaty of peace and lasting friendship with India. And since then, the relation between both the countries have been very stable. Despite the war in Ukraine, despite the closeness of Russia, China as such, Indo-Russia have maintained a kind of partnership that's across defense also, that's across oil and energy also, that's definitely across people-to-people migration also. So a very strong friendship indeed. Very good, Kojumba. Absolutely, the Relos agreement. Yes. Now that President of Russia came to India, it was celebrated as another historical milestone. As Indian Prime Minister Shri Modi clearly said that no matter what happens in the world, India and Russia relationship are like the pole star. They are always going to be constant and strong throughout. But what exactly happened as the president of Russia came, and why is India doing this kind of a balancing act here? The article says balancing, not swing. That means India is very close to Russia, but we have not decided to completely swing towards Russia. Neither are we towards America. As always, we are following the non alignment movement part 2, strategic autonomy, as our external affairs minister Sri Jaishankar always says. What are we doing? Trying to balance. Trying to balance between Russia and the US. What happened as the president came? Listen carefully. Now, India, Russia, they are celebrating 25 years of their long term friendship, strategic partnership. And as recently President Putin came to India, it was his first visit. Please remember, it was his first visit after the Russia Ukraine war had started in 2022. That means when Russia attacked Ukraine. Since then, the first time he's coming to India. The visit is carrying a very high diplomatic significance today as the Western countries continue to isolate Russia. We all know the broad history. For those who have recently joined our platform, let me in one line quickly tell you one thing. That the war between Russia and Ukraine started in 2022. But Ukraine will soon become a member of European Union. Already, the discussions about Ukrainian EU membership is going on. It is already a candidate for membership. At the same time, there was also a promise until recently that Ukraine might join NATO, North Atlantic Treaty Organization. Because of that, Ukraine had received unconditional weapons and moral support from both European Union countries and United States of America. But since Russia kept on attacking Ukraine, both America and EU decided to impose heavy sanctions on Russia. That no country will ever trade from Russia. No country will buy oil and gas from Russia. That is also the reason why suddenly the price of Russian oil fell down. Russian oil is often referred to as the Ural oil because it comes from the Ural mountain area. It is a little bitter, I have told you. It has a very high sulfur content. So ideally, it should be very cheap, right? But it is much cheaper for India because importing oil from Russia needs shorter transportation as compared to importing oil from America. The sweet, good quality Texas oil from America or the oil that's coming from West Asia, OPEC oil. So Russian oil is much cheaper. Now that sanctions were imposed on Russia, the price of oil became even more cheap. It was a very good situation for India. India started becoming the top importer of Russian oil. At the same time, India was also supporting Russia when it comes to Indo-Russia defense partnership. And that is something that was not okay with US President Trump. He was angry about it. In fact, the very reason, those who are new to us, the very reason why America during April-May 25 announced a 50% tariff on Indian exports was because of this anger against India. That why do you import oil from Russia when you know Russia is attacking Ukraine? That was the situation. Today, the situation has changed a little bit. The same President Trump is now saying that he wants to create peace between Russia and Ukraine. He also does not want Ukraine to join the NATO anymore. So while Ukraine may become a member of European Union, it may now never become a member of NATO. That has also caused confusion today between EU and America. Suddenly, America changed its policy. European Union is still very scared of Russia. The fact that many European Union countries believe if Ukraine is left behind, if we exclude Ukraine from NATO, it may become a buffer state for Russia. Since 2014, Russia is busy capturing various areas in the southwest, like the Crimea in 2015. Recently, the Donbass area was in the news. Today, America says, keep everything with you. Will that be safe for European Union? That is the question right now. In this garb, what should a country like India do? What will India do now? Despite American pressure, India has continued to import Russian oil because that's a need for us. We need that cheap oil. But still, slowly in the last few months, India is now reducing its oil import from Russia also. Why is India reducing and what happened at this meeting now? Now, this meeting, India was like a very careful participant. India welcomed President Putin with both hands, but India opened its mouth as if every word was measured and already prepared for. Not one word came that could have upset the American President Trump or that could have created some uneasiness in European Union. That shows India how we are now walking on the tightrope. Just like you walk on the rope. One foot goes here and there and you can die. You can get injured. Just like that, India is hitting on this tight, thin rope between Russia, Europe, and US right now. So, what happened? Naturally, the visit was being looked upon so cautiously by America because this is also the time when Western countries are continuing to isolate Russia, continuing sanctions against Russia. Recently, if you remember, I had also told you that Russian president could not even come to attend the G20 summit in Johannesburg. I told you or not? American president didn't come because he abandoned it. He rejected the G20 completely. But why did Putin not come? Mr. Putin did not come. Why didn't he come? I told you because he has an arrest warrant by International Criminal Court, ICC, because of the war crimes in Ukraine. He has an arrest warrant against him. He could not go to G20. Now, in that situation, he's coming to India. So imagine everything that India is committing gives such a big impression about India's own image in the global economy. After all, we are dealing with a man who is rejected by the Western country, a man who is still engaged in war with Ukraine, a man who has an arrest warrant from ICC. What did India do? The Indian government made few things very clear. One, we will continue the strategic friendship with Russia come what may. Second, although we support the peace in Russia-Ukraine conflict, but India once again did not openly condemn Russia's action on Ukraine. This is something that angers President Trump always. India once again acted with strategic autonomy. It saw its own relation with Russia and did not say one bad word about Russia's politically continuing to attack Ukraine. India was quiet about that. India said we will continue with economic engagement despite pressure from America. We will continue to do some oil trade with you, energy trade with you, and despite too much sanction from Russia, we will continue to carry on our defense relation with you. We already acquired S-400 from you, the Sudarshan Chakra. We may soon acquire S-500 from you. That is something nobody can cancel. The BrahMos deal is already full swing. Today, India has so many buyers in the world market. Countries like Philippines, countries like Taiwan, countries like Venezuela, Indonesia, so many are showing interest in buying BrahMos for us, all because of India-Russia defense partnership. India said we will continue on that. Now, one more thing. Very smartly, India changed the focus from Russia-Ukraine war to economic partnership. Rather than saying anything against Russia openly, India said, let's not talk about defense or military announcement. Now, look how smartly India has played right now. If India would have said anything openly right now about military engagement or defense partnership too much, it could have upset America. It could have been a signal that you are supporting somebody who has ICC criminal warrant. So, we played very strategically. We said, okay, let's not go in the detail of defense or military. Let's focus on economic partnership. One agenda of the 23rd India-Russia summit was this time, one, labor mobility engagement. Let's provide people-to-people migration. Russia is an old society. Russia doesn't have the kind of youth or the work skill that we need, that Russia needs. So India says, okay, I will supply skilled labor force to Russia to participate in economy, work, to participate as a skilled workforce, but on the condition that these people will not be utilized in any military engagement against Ukraine. There is a memorandum of understanding today about joint partnership of a joint urea manufacturing plant in Russia. So India, Russia will also create a joint urea manufacturing plant in Russia. There is a progress on economic roadmap. In 2024, both the countries said, let's improve bilateral trade. Today, they are saying, let's do that even more. There is a talk about developing maritime connectivity. Let's focus on more maritime connectivity. Plus, the most important thing that has happened. Since America is putting sanctions on Russia and the trade is generally measured in US dollar, India and Russia are saying, let's create some kind of a joint national currency payment so that we can deal with each other financially without having to depend on the US dollar. So let's have a kind of national currency payment with each other. Let's integrate our payment systems. And that will enable us to bypass so many sanctions coming from America and EU. Now, why did India not commit anything about increasing the import of Russian oil? Why? Because if India would have said, I will continue to increase my oil import from you, it could have mean India is supporting the war on Ukraine. It could have mean perhaps more tariff fear coming from America. It could have mean more rejection by European Union, and it could have mean giving encouragement to countries like China, Israel to continue their warfare. So therefore, what did India do? India was very quiet. India said we are already buying the cheap discounted oil from you since the Russian-Ukraine war began. That also helps us in fulfilling our energy need. But today we cannot commit openly that we will continue to increase this import. We will not do that. As of now, the world has put sanctions on the Russian oil. There is an upper price cap on everything that's done in Russia, all trade, all transactions. US is strictly monitoring all the trade pacts of Russia. So India did not commit anything openly. India said we are doing it because we need that cheap oil, but we are not going to openly announce increasing oil import from you. Because India knows India is also having side by side a negotiation with European Union countries about free trade agreement. India is still doing another set of negotiations with America. India doesn't want to disturb the apple cart. India doesn't want to disturb that apple cart. India wants stability in that. Otherwise, it would have seemed like India doesn't care anything about people dying in Ukraine. And India is supporting Russia in the war, and India doesn't want that to happen. Then, India also has maintained a kind of diplomatic flexibility that we will do what works for us. But just because Russian president is here, we are not going to make any fake exaggerated promises. because we have today not done any new engagement when it comes to clearly military defense or oil supply. No such agreement on defense hardware supply. No agreement on nuclear or space cooperation, only about people to people migration, strong cultural relation, continuing the cheap import of oil at a limited scale, and at the same time, it also was a reminder that both the countries are very close to each other when it comes to maritime security, integration of national payment, but nothing more than that. India didn't say anything about any sensitive area at all. Because today we know that we are navigating with two extreme situations, just like during the Cold War. One is the US, supported by European Union. The other is Russia. And then there is a third party also, China. So therefore, India has played very diplomatically, engaged, welcomed the Russian president, revived the friendship across people to people migration, maritime security, integration of national payments, improving economic trade, but nothing on any nuclear deal as such, nothing on space technology as such, nothing on a promise of improving the import of oil and gas. So that was the diplomatic game that was played by India. Very important in today's world, because recently we have spoken about India's new strategic autonomy. We need to maintain that also. Yes? Yeah, very good. Absolutely aspirant. Russia wants so many, about say 5 lakh semi-skilled workers from India. Yes, because India has demographic dividend that Russia doesn't have. And that's the benefit of having a skilled workforce, a youth bulge. If you can provide some skills to it, it will get job opportunities, right? Okay. Yes, absolutely, Ramu. If we take one side, then our apple cart of democracy will, diplomacy will get completely disturbed. So answers are coming from Terukula, Vikash, and Kritik. Kriti, sorry, and Priyanshu. So let me have a look at the question. Consider the following statements regarding recent development in India-Russia relation. One, India signed a strategic agreement with Russia in defense and space cooperation during the 23rd Indo-Russia Annual Summit. Two, India avoided committing to any increase in Russian oil import due to global scrutiny and ongoing negotiation with Western countries. And three, the visit marked 25 years of India-Russia strategic partnership and annual summit framework. So which of these statements do you think should be valid? The answers are coming, and the answers are given by Terukula, Kriti, Vikash, Katyayani has answered very good, and Priyanshu, Sumit, Ribina, Anup, Sitaram, Tarun, Sumed, Tanya, Utkarsh, Aspirant, Gelu. Everyone is saying the answer should be B. So should it be B? The first statement is correct. No, it cannot be correct, because very smartly we have not this time signed anything new on defense or space. We haven't done that because we do not want to disturb the sanctions coming from West right now. And of course, President Trump is also a victim of right now the ICC arrest warrant. So we can't do that. So one is not correct. Second, third are correct. That means B should be the right answer. Very good. Absolutely correct. Well done. B is the right answer. Kojumba, Eric, Ramu, Urupam, Tanya, Devi. Absolutely correct. Brilliant. Now, next article is also editorial, page number 8. It's a smaller one. It says a Black Friday for aviation safety in India. We are talking about aviation safety, airplane safety, airplane sector. So what are we looking at? We are looking at clearly the recent controversy that happened when Indigo has cancelled so many flights suddenly that created a chaos when it came to Indian airports, and it has also raised a question on the safety, democracy, and the commitment that Indian government and civil aviation sector have when it comes to the safety of pilots, working conditions of pilots, and the obligation that the government has towards these many citizens. Some of them missed their own marriages. Some of them missed important interviews. Some of them could not go and meet their family during a crisis time. And that was the critical situation at the airports. People were there, their flights delayed, their money lost. It was a pathetic situation. Why did all that happen, and what does it show when it comes to India's civil aviation sector? Yes, Tarun, absolutely. We are looking at that controversy right now from a more UPSC lens. So quickly in 2 minutes, let's understand what happened. Now, India's aviation sector has recently faced a major crisis. Why? Because as Tarun says, Indigo had decided to cancel numerous flights in the same 1 or 2 days. In response, what did the government do? In response, the Ministry of Civil Aviation temporarily suspended the implementation of the new flight duty time limitations. The whole controversy is about FDTL, flight duty time limitation. These were issued by the Directorate General of Civil Aviation. What is this and why did it lead to a controversy? Let's understand. In 2007, a development had taken place. In 2007, what happened? The DGCA, the Directorate General of Civil Aviation in India, had introduced a very strict civil aviation requirement. What had it done? It had issued a very strict CAR, civil aviation requirement to control and limit pilot duty hours to prevent exhaustion and fatigue among pilots. Now, pilots are responsible for navigating airplanes in turbulent weather, in difficult conditions. They are responsible for the lives of hundreds of passengers who are on board domestically and internationally. When the DCGA decided to issue a stricter civil aviation requirement and said that, after all, pilots are humans and they do get exhausted taking multiple legs a day. They do get exhausted after a prolonged working period. So, just like any other employee in the formal sector, they should also be given some rest. There has to be some limit on the number of hours they can work to prevent them from being exhausted, which will also threaten the life of all the passengers. It's a very critical duty after all. It's about public service and safety. So that's what it said. It said, let's reduce the number of timing to prevent their exhaustion. So to control, I'll quickly write down here, to control or to limit the number of duty hours that the pilots performed. Duty hours of pilots. That was the idea here. But what happened? The airline operators. Now, I have always told you, there is something called the Companies Act. Various organizations registered in the Companies Act except in Section 8, except for the NPO and NGO. All private companies work with the same motive, and the motive is profit making. No private corporate sector can work for social welfare. Yes, there is something called corporate social responsibility, but that becomes secondary. Every private organization is committed to making profit after all. They work on that. They survive because of that. So as a response to the decision by the DCGA, the DGCA of reducing the number of hours and giving them some rest, very good, Vikash. Companies Act 2013, later amended also, very good. Now, when they said limit the number of duty hours, naturally being private companies, airline operators had a problem. They need profit. So they started resisting to that. They said no. This will definitely, yes, Ramu, profit maximization. And that impacted that. If pilots will not work for extended number of hours, how will these companies make profit? They will have to hire new pilot. Hiring new trained pilot means crores and lakhs of rupees going down the drain. They would not do that at any cost. So they started retaliating. They said, we are not going to follow this rule. After they retaliated, what happened? The Civil Aviation Ministry then in 2008 tried to replace this law. It replaced the law and it put the existing regulation in abeyance. When you put something in abeyance, that means there is no urgency in implementing that. You can take jolly good time to implement that. It was put under abeyance, under pressure coming from the airline operators. Now what happened? Naturally, as a response, pilot associations were angry. They said, are we not humans? Why are we being treated like commodities? This is worker alienation, as Karl Marx used to say. This is like worker alienation. So pilot organizations challenged this in the Bombay High Court. They were angry about it. They said, why are the rules being taken down? What is wrong in giving us a limited fixed number of duty hours? And they also blamed the DGCA and the Ministry of Civil Aviation of compromising with passenger safety and pilot safety just to benefit the private airline sector. So what happened right now? The current condition is that Indigo and DGCA had already been given an advice, a notice that very soon at least you have to respect the FDTL laws. You have to respect that. Limited number of duty hours protocol has to be respected. And they were already informed by the government that from 25th November 2025, we are going to implement these protocols. So do something about it, be prepared in advance. But did they prepare in advance? No. They continued to look at the short-term profits. Nobody prepared in advance. Pilots continued to do overwork. They were continuing to do overtime. It is complete monopoly, Sitaram, absolutely. They continued to work overtime. Yes, absolutely, Priyanshu. Yes, Ramu, very good. They continued to work overtime. Neither did Indigo nor did the GCA do any kind of preparation. When they knew November 2025 is the time we have to implement these FDTL protocols, then why did you not prepare on time? Suddenly, when the time came to implement the laws, what happened then? Then everybody is in a shock. Passengers were forced. Passengers were traumatized as a revenge mechanism taken by airlines showing the monopoly of Indigo. Flights were cancelled in rebellion, retaliation. Passengers were queued up in the airport, massive cancellation, inconvenience, financial loss to people. People not being able to attend family functions and important commitments, business loss, goodwill loss. Despite rules requiring sufficient staff, minimum 3 set of crew per aircraft is the rule. Minimum 3 set of crews per aircraft is important. Practically, you need 6 for domestic operations. But airlines underhired people. Airlines underhired people. Why? Who said that? Priyanshu said that, right? To reduce the cost. We have underhired people. We have not hired people at all. So what happens when it is time to implement the FDTL rule? You will not have any staff to work for you. Now, this shows lack of accountability. The DGCA's action reflects regulatory weakness. They are favoring corporate interest rather than looking into pilot and passenger safety. The International Civil Aviation Organization had recommended, now we are looking at an international body now, ICAO. What are we looking at? ICAO, International Civil Aviation Organization. It had said long back in 2006 that have an independent aviation regulator, have a third party, have an independent, autonomous regulator when it comes to conflicts and issues regarding civil aviation. That is a recommendation made by the global body ICAO, International Civil Aviation Organization. It said in 2006, long back it said, almost 20 years are going to happen. It said, please have a third party independent aviation regulator, but it has not been implemented. Appeals have been issued to pilots to cooperate, followed by a suspension of safety rules, indicating inconsistency and governance failure. Now, all this is coming at a time when already nobody is having any trust on civil aviation. How can we forget the tragic Air India 171 tragedy that happened? When immediately after taking off, the plane had crashed, resulting to the death of almost everyone except one on board. Have we forgotten that? No. What about the investigation committee and the report? That is all under abeyance right now. There is no transparency in the investigation. People already do not have trust. In case any accident happens, people say we are never prepared. Sometimes the engines are, not monitored and they are not upgraded properly. Sometimes there is a lack of cleanliness. Sometimes the pressure in the cabin becomes deviated. There are so many episodes that are happening which highlight that safety has been compromised. At the same time, there was also an accident in Kozhikode, Mengaluru, Ahmedabad. What are all these? These could definitely be related with pilot exhaustion, pilot fatigue, and gap in safety. Plus, whenever an accident happens, there is not even an honest investigation that's done. So then what is the situation right now? The temporary rollback, the temporary cancellation of FDTL rules by the government shows that we are prioritizing commercial interest, profit of private companies over safety of the pilot, safety of the passenger, and there is no authority that the government has today. There is no respect that we have for global bodies like ICAO. We are running our airlines at a jolly good time, at our own pace, at our own convenience. Tomorrow, an accident happens, what is that? Is it that easy to play with the lives of people? So, definitely, it's also about GS paper 4 ethics. Corporate ethics are involved here just to maximize profit. Yes, you are compromising on passenger safety. Then, what's the logic here? We need today strongly an autonomous aviation regulator as per 2006 advice of ICAO. If we do not do that, then it is like every day people take flights, every day. But it's all about a gamble, it's about a chance that you take from luck. It all boils down to fatalistic belief then. What has to happen will happen because ultimately the government and the corporate ethics in India are severely compromised. And we have seen that in the Indigo case clearly. Okay. So that's the topic here. And thank you so much, Rahul, for explaining capitalism. Yes, absolutely. Capitalism can destroy human values. Now that you are talking about it, it's good to remember Karl Marx here. For economics, politics, sociology, anthropology, we often study Karl Marx. What did he say? Ultimately, he said the same thing, that it is the capitalist society in which the means of production are always in the hands of few people called bourgeoisie, the corporate owners. It is they who will always exploit the poor workers. And the workers will become like what? A cog in the machine. They will experience alienation. There is no human value in capitalism. It ultimately boils down to just profit and profit and profit. Okay. So thanks for explaining crony capitalism, Katyayani and Ramu. Thank you, Rahul. Yes, absolutely. What about the compensation, as Rahul you're saying? That's a valid point there. Yes, Eric, that's also correct. Recently, we saw GPS spoofing. That could be a very valid point to raise here. Thank you so much, Ram. Corporate social responsibility, Section 135. You need to spend at least 2% on public welfare in various ways, but then our company is actually doing that. That's a very good question you've raised for GS paper 4. Yes? Yes, Tarun, absolutely, Kojumba. Very well pointed out. Now, answers are coming. Terukula, Priyanshu, Vikash, Sumet, Tarun, Katyayani. Let me come to the question. Consider the following statements regarding recent civil aviation controversy in India. 1. The Directorate General of Civil Aviation has issued the new flight duty time limitation rules to address the crew fatigue and enhance aviation safety. 2. The Ministry of Civil Aviation temporarily suspended the implementation of these rules following a large-scale flight cancellation by Indigo. 3. The Civil Aviation Organization had earlier recommended that India establish an independent aviation regulator. This was done in 2006 by ICAO, and that is because of concerns over weak safety oversight. And D. 4. Despite existing civil aviation requirement, airlines have allegedly underemployed the required number of pilots per crew per aircraft. That should be at least 3, and for the domestic ones, it should be at least 6. So all these statements are correct? Yes, they are. So brilliant answer there. Priyanshu, Sumed, Vikash, Terukula, and Aktopam, Rebina, Katyayani, Kojumba, Ramu, Sitaram, Utkarsh, Vikash, Sumit. Very good. Absolutely correct. He is the right answer. Very well answered. Anybody, any doubts, do let me know. Now, quickly, let's summarize the next article as well. This is GS paper 3. Why GS paper 3? Very good, Anup. Because we are looking at, what are we looking at? Its answer should be D. All the statements there are correct. Any doubts, do let me know. Next article is about organ transplantation, organ donorship. It is GS paper 3, science, technology, health, disease. Yes? What is the topic and what are we discussing here? Science and technology. Very good, Rahul. Absolutely, Terukula. It is science and tech. GS paper 3, UPSC mains. What are we looking at? What are the legal formalities involved in organ transplantation? In India, there is a huge confusion that we have among people in general, the citizens, the government agency, and the protocols itself. There is a lot of confusion there. Yes, very good, Vikash. 1994, absolutely. Yes, Ram. Correct, Priyanshu. Good, Katyayani. That's the topic here. But what's the main point being made? The point is that in India, organ transplantation and organ donorship have become a very, very confusing issue. It is the biggest advance in the history of mankind. To be able to give somebody an organ to save their life, to be able to utilize the organs of people who are terminally ill or who are declared as brain dead, to use their organs to save another life. That means it's one of the developments of the highest kind in medical science, but still. The two type of transplantations that this article is talking about, both of them are always under confusion because there is a lack of awareness among people as well as the government to create that awareness. Yes, let's quickly understand what is the main topic raised by the article. Now, the article is saying in India, in our country, organ transplantation is generally governed by the Transplantation of Human Organs and Tissues Act 1994. Terukula, is that clear, bacha? Yes? Is that clear? Thank you for explaining, Ramu and Vikash. In India, organ transplantation is generally regulated under the Transplantation of Human Organs and Tissues Act 1994. Now, before I proceed, because my approach is to cross-link current affairs. Friday, I have spoken to you about a genocide that had happened in 1994 in one country that is in the news right now. Quickly, which country was that before I proceed? We are looking at the Thota Act. In India, 1994, organ transplantation, but 1994, a big genocide had happened in one of the countries that is in the news right now. The news was regarding President Trump. And very good, Terukula. Very, very, very good. It was Rwanda. Very good. The genocide in Rwanda done by DRC, Democratic Republic of Congo, that's under controversy right now, and the problem is being solved now by none other than your favorite, our favorite, Ramu's favorite uncle, President Trump. Very good. Brilliant, absolutely. Katyayani, Priyanshu, Vikash, Sumit, Rahul, Vikash, Tarun. Beautiful. Big round of applause. Brilliant, absolutely. Now, please come back to this article. From Africa, let's travel back to India. Now, we are looking at 1994 Act, the Thota Act, that in India governs. What does it govern? Organ transplantation. But let's understand there are typically two situations here. Very good, everyone. Rubina, Kojumba, Ramu. Brilliant. Yes, Priyanshu, the uncle was concerned over here. Very good. Okay, Prasad has given another name to him now. All right. Okay. Absolutely, you are too much in love with this person. That I can see. Okay. Coming back now to Thota Act 1994. Now, in India, we have generally two situations here. One is that sometimes people who are dead, they are the ones who are doing transplantation, or somebody who has died. You can take his or her organ and donate it to somebody else. At the same time, sometimes there are people who are actually living, they are alive, and still suppose they are willing to contribute a kidney, they want to donate an organ to another person who is in the need of that organ. Now, recently there was a big controversy in Bihar during Bihar assembly elections when Mr. Lalu Prasad Yadav's family was coming under scanner for a kind of domestic tussle that's happening between him and his daughter. That also included an issue of transplantation. The fact that his daughter had given him a kidney in donation. Yes. So from there you relate how crucial these issues are actually in our daily life. So what is going on in this article is that there are two kinds of people. One, people who are considered as brain stem dead. These people in India are known as BSD. What is BSD? Brain stem dead. Now such person is a brain dead person, but the heart and the other organs of that person is still working, and that becomes an emotional issue. Naturally, it's an emotional issue now. Somebody whose brain has died. The person is almost like a vegetative state. But the heart and other organs are working. Now, for the family, it becomes a very painful situation. It's a coma-like situation. For family, it's a painful situation. To say that, okay, we agreed that this person is declared dead, and now let's contribute donate his organ to somebody else. It becomes an emotional issue because there is a lack of understanding about what do you mean by brain dead, what do you mean by BSD. Second thing is, if you are taking an organ from a BSD person whose all other organs are working, it is valid in India legally. The Thota Act 1994 that we are talking about actually recognizes the organ donation from someone who is BSD. Then there are some people who are alive, they are healthy people, and still deliberately, willingly they give their organs to others. Sometimes it's the financial need. Sometimes, like it happens in the case of Mr. Lalu Prasad Yadav's family, it's because of family love and commitment. The very famous Western singer, Selena Gomez, the fact that she also had taken a kidney from one of her close friends. So these are live examples that sometimes healthy people also give you organs, but that requires a very strict legal approval and a legal mandate in India. Now, the issue is that there is so much confusion in our country about what do you mean by brain stem dead. And there is so much emotional aspect to this when it comes to various families that India, despite having a high population, has a very poor amount of organ donation statistics, very poor. As compared to other countries, for example, Spain, despite having much lesser population, organ donorship is very high. In India, so many years have happened since the 1994 Thota Act, okay? But still, if you see the data, it's right here in this PPT, the data says 0.77% only of diseased people per million population have done organ donation. Those who have died, only these many have done organ donation. But in Spain, 49.38, with much lesser population, has done so much more high donation, about 49.38 as compared to India 0.77. That means in India, about 5 lakh people, they die annually. Annually, they die because they really need organ transplant. They are young people and still they don't receive that. What's the confusion? The confusion is about BSD, brain stem dead. Is it true that somebody who is a brain dead person, who is considered as a BSD person, brain stem dead person, is it the same as proper death? Same as cardiac death? Usually, death is associated with stopping of the heart functioning. The heart is not beating anymore, person has died. But in the case of BSD, the heart is active. Other organs are active. Only your brain is not working. So now what happens? Some families, hospitals, associations, they are not clear about BSD at all. That is BSD proper death for the legal purpose, or is BSD a condition of being in a coma or in a brain dead situation but the person is otherwise alive? That's the big confusion, because in India, we do not legalize euthanasia also. Euthanasia, assisted suicide, that somebody who is in a vegetative state, somebody who's terminally ill, can those people be given some kind of permission to die with doctors or medical help after being evaluated? We don't allow that. So that's why for years people are in coma sometimes. For years people are BST. They are alive, but they are brain dead. That causes the confusion. What to do in this situation? Should the family of such a person continue to keep this person on life support? That what if, even if they are BSD, they are brain stem dead, but they are still alive? Organs and heart is working. So should the families keep them on life support always? The law says that legally the BSD is death only. If you look at the Thota Act 1994, it says BSD is death only. Somebody who is a BSD has died practically. There is no point in keeping the body alive now. But the families and hospitals are confused. For family, it's an emotional issue. For hospital, it's a profit-making issue. Per day on life support means thousands of rupees, lakhs of rupees that the hospitals are getting. It's a confusion versus commercial interest. Then there is a very big confusion in India about taking the permission from the family, consent and approval timing. Families should be asked for donating an organ from a person after brain stem death is certified, not before that. Before you go and approach a family whose member is experiencing a BSD, you should first prove on paper that BSD has happened. The person has already died for the act of legality. Now, can we take the organ for donation or not? If you take the permission before the death is legally proven, it causes emotionality, it causes a lot of dehumanizing situation for the family. Family feels we are being forced, we are being objectified, and that's not good. That's unethical, absolutely. It's about medical ethics also. Now, there is a rule 1.5 and rule 5.2, 5.1 and 5.2 under the Thota, in which ICU doctors who should coordinate with people who conduct the transplantation must approach the relatives of the person who has experienced brain death after BSD is certified on paper. But in India, it is a broken protocol. Majority number of times they are approached much before BSD is proven. Why? Private hospitals are getting profit out of that. Imagine a person who has died, practically completely dead, brain dead. But still, if you keep that person on life support for 15 days, you are getting a profit of 10 to 15 lakh rupees. Why will you miss that? It's about corporate medical ethics. Again, the same thing is coming. Corporate crony capitalism is in the picture right now. Similarly, for family, it's a very emotional dilemma issue. To say that, okay, remove the person from life support is not an easy thing to do. It's not easy. Then what happens? There is a Form 8 under the Act that determines various kinds of consent, approval, or denial with regards to organ transplantation. But the issue is that there is a lot of confusion. One thing is, very limited number of hospitals and medical facilities in India are registered to certify brain stem death. Very few people do that. Not all the hospitals have the approval to declare people as BSD, and so that they can remove organs for that person. Because now they are BSD, you can remove the organs. THOTA allows that. 1994 Act allows that. Legally, it is allowed. But very few hospitals have that authority to do that. Second, 2 of the 4 doctors who will now give certification to say that this person is brain stem dead, they need special qualification and special certification. That makes it a very slow process. Finding the right doctors, limited number of doctors with authority, very few hospitals. Then, many certificates do not mention the time of the death. Many BSD certificates are not specifying what is the exact time of brain death. That means the family has a doubt that deliberately it was done to steal the organs. That's a problem. There is a Form 10 under the THOTA Act 94, which also does not specify the time of the death. It should specify. If a time of the death is properly certified, probably confusions will be cleared out. And that's not done. That creates confusion, lack of trust, the lack of desire to approve organ donation. We should understand it's more of an emotional issue rather than a practical medical issue, right? So, Kerala government has recently offered a unique solution. It says under the Form 10 of THOTA, let us specify the exact time of death and let's create more awareness among people about how BSD is practically like complete death. Allow many more hospitals to certify BSD. Otherwise, private hospitals will keep minting money and families will keep going through emotional distress, and same protocols should be mentioned across the whole country. Because how does it matter to us today? It does matter. We know that premature deaths are happening and many potential organs are getting lost every year just because we do not have proper understanding of brain stem death. 500,000 people are dying, whereas 500,000 are waiting for organs. What a paradox. What a paradox. 500,000 people are dying with healthy organs, and half are dying because they don't get organs. Look at the mismatch here. It's a complete ethical issue. Hospitals and doctors are confused. They are scared to certify BSD. What if it leads to retaliation? Because clear rules are not there. So, what should we do? All ICU, all intensive care units should be able to diagnose and give certification with exact time of death under Form 10 of THOTA Act when it comes to BSD. Then we should create all India, pan India similar formalities regarding consent, approval. Unnecessarily, bureaucratic delays should be removed. So ideally, it should be like if a person experiences BSD, let the hospitals and ICU certify that. Let there be a proper time which is recorded and BSD is issued. Only after BSD is issued, that transplant doctors should be consulted with. The family of the patient should be then consulted to. They should be explained that BSD means complete death, no hope of survival or revival. And that's when we should proceed with sensitizing them on the need of organ donation. So that can streamline a lot of things rather than having unclear rules that creates emotional distress among people, that gives opportunities to private hospitals to keep on minting money. That's very important, okay? Especially this is crucial in the case of BSD donorship. Now, when it comes to live person donating, that's a whole different set of laws. And on that note, there's a very interesting concept also. In 2024, a very famous concept became very popular also, and that is known as xenotransplantation. Xenotransplantation. I don't know if you have read about it. Xeno means foreigner, alien. Transplantations means transplanting. So a lot of liver and heart from pigs and other animals were transplanted into human beings to see the survival rate. That's called xenotransplantation. That's still under research and development. Remember that. Quickly the question. Good morning there, Monica. Consider the following statements regarding organ transplantation in India. Yes, Terukula. Vikash has answered. 1. The Transplantation of Human Organ and Tissue Act, THOTA Act 94, legally recognizes brain stem death as equivalent to heart death, complete death. 2. Consent for organ donation must be obtained after BST is certified, not before that. 3. Only registered transplant hospitals and non-transplant organ retrieval centers can currently certify BSD, and perform organ harvesting. Harvesting to obtain organs from a dead body. Harvesting means to take. 4. Form 10 of 1990 Act includes the exact timing of death for BSD patients. Okay, so what's the right answer here? Is the right answer D? Is everyone so confident about D? Can we please look at the third statement more properly? Please, can we look at the third statement more properly? Can we please do that? Can we have a look at the third statement properly? The fourth statement properly? Form 10 of the 1994 Thota Act includes the exact timing of death of BSD patient. Come back one slide. One more slide. What does the last statement say here? Form 10 of the Thota Act 1994 is a problem in itself. Because although the Thota Act 94 certifies what is BSD, it says BSD means complete death, heart cardiac death. So now you can proceed with organ transplant, organ harvesting. But there is a flaw here. The Form 10 of the Thota Act doesn't mention the exact time of death. That causes confusion. The hospitals can keep delaying the time of the death and take profits. And for the family, it becomes an emotional episode. They don't know what's the exact time of death, so they do not have trust in the process of organ donorship. Therefore, today the Kerala government, the government of Kerala in 2020, has initiated an innovative solution. It says all India we should have an exact method to determine BSD and allow ICU doctors and doctors who are doing emergency operations to certify what do you mean by exact time of BSD so that more systems can be created. Then, is the fourth statement valid? No. Are the first three valid? Yes. So then what should be the right answer? Should it not be B? So very well understood finally. Good, well job done. Ramu, Tarun, Priyanshu, Sumit aspirant, Kojumba, Terukula, aspirant, Rabina, Vikash, Sumit, Utkarsh, Sitaram. Is that clear with everyone now? Yes? No doubts anybody? Katyayani? Is it clear to everyone? Nobody has a doubt now? Yes? Very good, Anup, Eric. What about my dear Kojumba? What about Vikash? What about Monica? Monica joined late. What about Katyayani? Katyayani, are you catching up the pace now? Is everything making sense? Prasad? Very good, Gelu. Absolutely, Anup. That's right, Eric. So I'm hoping that everybody has understood finally. Thank you, aspirant, for confirming, my dear. Okay, then. Thank you, Sitaram. Now we are done with the most important articles for the day. Quickly, in exact 2 minutes, just see what all is happening around the world now. Quick bits now. National intelligence grid gains a lot of traction. What are we talking about? We are talking about National Intelligence Grid NIG. Now let's understand in 2009. In 2009, after the Mumbai terror attack happened, the 26/11 attack happened, the government decided to create a grid called National Intelligence Grid, NAT grid. What is it known as? NAT grid. What's the purpose? The purpose is to give a platform. What? To give a platform to police and to other investigation agencies to access government database and private database immediately, in real time, quickly. How will it help them? It will help them to carry on investigation more quick, to carry on exact investigation whenever a crime or an episode of terror happens. It was created in 2009 after the 26/11 attack. The idea was to enable, I repeat, the idea was to enable a national grid, NAT grid, 2009, to make sure police and other investigation agencies have a quick, immediate, 24/7 real-time access to government and private databases so that they can have all the information they need to conduct investigation. And this platform will now also have access to data such as driving license, Aadhaar, airline data, bank account, detail of social media account of all the people included in a specific issue. Why is it in the news right now? It's in the news because too many of such applications are now coming. About 45,000 requests came under the NAT grid in just 1 month. That shows a positive development. Yes, it is working for us. It is working for the investigation agencies, and now it is also available to superintendent of police rank officers. 10 central government agencies can now approach this data anytime. Also, it will help us in tracking cybercrime, because since 2024, India has seen 20.41 lakh 20.41 lakh cases of cyber security lapse. So, creating a grid like that only means streamlining accessibility to data. That's it. Another news, just 2 minutes before we spoke about 1994, Rwanda genocide. Yes, Rwanda and Democratic Republic of Congo are busy in a fight because of counter-terrorism. It all started from 1994 Rwanda. Today, President Trump wants to create a kind of peace pact. Why? Because President Trump wants access to the unique rare earth material and various rich mineral reserves of the Democratic Republic of Congo, DRC. But another reason why Africa is in the news today, we are talking about Sudan. Sudan has been in a civil war since so long right now. It's been ages. Very good, Terukula. The war is going on between two clear-cut fronts in Sudan. The war is happening between Sudan armed forces, and apart from that also, one is Sudan armed forces and the other is the RSF. Between both these groups, there is a fight that who will control the country. Yes. So on the map, you can see Sudan clearly in Africa, right here with light green color highlighted. Now, if this war is going on in Sudan recently, today, what has happened? Once again, a complete breakdown has happened. And severe bombing and genocide was experienced here. Very, very good, Katya, Prasad, absolutely. RSF backed by UAE. There is a vested interest in the war. Definitely it is there. Correct. Today, once again, the war erupted in a horrible way, killing so many more people. Today, South Sudan has become a country that is characterized by genocide. Yes, Rapid Support Forces, Prasad, very good, RSF. Humanitarian crisis, hunger, deprivation. What happens if a place like that is experiencing a civil war for so many decades now? The problem is it also leads to spillover effect in other countries. Migration, internally displaced people, they become refugees, they travel outside, they are settled in camps on the border of Sudan. And then what happens? It leads to a widespread of more instability to other neighborhood countries also. Ultimately, it's also about an ethnic violence. It boils down to a situation where the marginalized women, children, they are dying of food. Same thing that's happening in Gaza practically is also happening in Sudan right now. And on that note, also remember the Sahel region of Africa. Often in the news. Often in the news. The area that is now prone to desertification because of spreading of the Sahara Desert. Sandwiched between the Sahara and the Savannah. An area that is now the key poor area of Africa, being characterized by many military coups, displacements, and civil wars. Okay, so that's why Sudan was in the news, and that's it. I think most of the news articles are done. Are we left with anything? Okay, one last about China, Japan. China, Japan are always under a controversy. We have spoken about how there is a key controversy over the Senkaku Island, a group of small island that is claimed territorially by Japan. Japan calls it Senkaku, but China calls it DIOU. China calls it DIOU. Today, why have they fought? Today, they have fought because Japan is complaining that China has done some kind of a lock radar on Japanese aircraft. What do you mean by lock radar? Japan says China's J-15 fighter jets. What? J-15 fighter jets from China have done a lock radar on Japanese fighters 2 times. And that's causing a controversy between these two. What do you mean by lock radar? When a fighter plane does a lock radar on another plane, what does it do? It tries to capture and hack the entire database of the another plane. It is identifying it as a target and then it can track it exactly time to time. There are two kinds of lock radar. One is search lock, in which you detect a target, an airplane that is around you, but you cannot do a precise or an exact detection of its location. Another is track lock. It's also called lock on. In that, you can continuously keep tracking and following the other jet. Today, Japan says China, using its J-15 jet flights, have done a lock radar on our fighter jets, and that again means instigating war. So both of them are already fighting about Senkaku Diaoyu. Then, very good, Tarun. Another was the Yonaguni. Recently, Japan had installed some medium range missile at Yonaguni, about 110 kilometers away from Taiwan. That also was seen as China in a negative light. So, you see, it is a territorial dispute for sure. The war is going on, and this new Japanese prime minister is quite strict when it comes to China's nuisance. She says we are not tolerating any terror from China. So, that's it for the day. That's it for the day. Okay. Yes, thank you so much for saying that, Ramu. Both are in 1994, the Rwanda genocide and the Thota Act of India. Beautiful. That's the approach you should have. The M23 group Kojumba, very, very good. That is now stationed in DRC, coming from Rwanda. Beautiful. Absolutely. The Sinai, Miss Sinai Takaichi, the first woman prime minister of Japan. So now I'll take your leave for the day. Thank you so much for the beautiful, interactive, and such a meaningful session that not only helps us learn, that helps us revise, that helps us integrate and support each other as a UPSC community. Now, there was a comment I had missed, and that came from Utkarsh. That's very nice of you, Utkarsh. Thank you so much, my dear. And you can definitely attend. It will help you in various other exams because current affairs are the basis of all government exams. And naturally, when you read newspaper, it definitely improves communication. That really helps you. Thank you, Terukula, for reminding about the Nobel Peace Prize episode. There is so much more to talk about President Trump. I can have a separate session on him, but that's not the right time now. So thank you very much, everyone. I'll see you tomorrow morning. Stay blessed. And I wish and I pray for your success, each one of you. So thank you, my dear Sumedh, Priyanshu, Sumit, Gelu, Vikash, Tarun, Utkarsh, Kojumba, Ramu, Priyanshu, and Anup, Terukula. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you very much, Prasad. Thank you very, very much, Monica. Thank you, Rahul. Thank you, Utkarsh. Thank you, Sitaram. Thank you very, very much, Rebina. Thanks, the aspirant. Okay. Thank you, Devial. Who else was there with me? Thank you, Tarun. And thank you very much. Who else was there? Am I missing anyone here? I think most of the names I have seen already. Tarun, I have mentioned. Eric, thank you very much, Eric. Rebina, I have mentioned, I do believe. Iba was there. Tanya was there. Thank you so much, both of you. Aktopam was there. Thank you, Aktopam. Okay, then. Bulbul was also here. Thank you, Bulbul, my dear. So that's it for the day then. Thank you, everyone. See you tomorrow. God bless. All right. Thank you, Kojumba, for your beautiful language inputs every day. Bye bye.